Hello team, welcome back to VProject UK. In today's videos we're going to be talking about pads. With a vast variety of pads out there, where do you even start? Without spending so much money on testing them and using them, the options can be mind-bending. So in today's video we're hopefully going to give you some clarity, and we're going to give you some recommendations about what we use here at VProject UK after doing testing on numerous products and what we found to be the best products for the best results with minimal effort. So without wasting too much time, let's start the video. When it comes to pads, there's three main types of pads you need. Outside of wet sanding, which we're going to cover in a separate Pro Series video, the three types of pads you need to try and have in your collection are compounding pads, polishing pads, and finishing pads. So when you break it into those three categories, you then need to decide which pad is the best for each of those three. For example, when you do compounding, you'll need something which is quite heavy cutting. When you do polishing, you're going to need something which finishes down really nicely. And when you do finishing, you're going to need a finishing pad which is really soft, probably have very little cutting action, but will give you a really good finish. So in essence, outside of wet sanding, like I said, we're going to cover that separately because that's a subject in itself. You will need three types of pads: compounding, polishing, and finishing. And what we're going to do now is go through our recommendations of what we use here at VProject UK for each of those three separate categories. So let's do that now. What we love using here at VProject UK for the compounding stage is a pad which is something which will give you fantastic results every time. And every time we use this pad to get rid of heavy defects and heavy scratches, it works wonders. And that pad is the MicroFibre cutting disc from Meguiars Detailer. This pad is absolutely fantastic when it comes to getting rid of heavy defects, and you'll find that microfiber pads are probably the best at doing that over foam pads, and that's certainly our results from our testing using this pad. Now this pad comes in various sizes. It comes in the 6-inch, which is a DMC6. It also comes in a 5-inch, which is a DMC5, and you can also get them in 3-inch sizes as well, the DMC3. Just be careful though, because you can actually get polishing discs as well, microfiber polishing discs. So you need to make sure you're actually getting the cutting discs when you're getting this pad, because obviously we need this pad for heavy defect removal and the compounding stage. So just something to bear in mind. So the reason we love these pads is that they have a really good uniform microfiber throughout the actual pad itself. And it has a really good foam interface on the pad as well, which is quite thin and forgiving. So when you've actually got it on your machine, it allows the pad to bend slightly and contour to various shapes on your vehicle, which means you get a really good even coverage when you're compounding with this pad. And the microfibers are super soft, and these pads last ages when you actually wash them and reuse them. So these are our recommendation. Now what you'll find with microfiber pads when you use them, if you've not used them before, is that they will give you some sort of marring. That's just the nature of the microfiber pads itself. They'll leave behind some hazing which then needs to be refined, and that's where the polishing pad would come in. Now what you'll find with these Meguiars microfiber discs as well is that they actually come in an extra cut disc like this one as well. And I think you can get the 5-inch and the 6-inch version, and I think the 3-inch of these as well. However, the 3-inch are a bit more harder to come across. But what the extra cut discs do, and I've got to stress that these by themselves do cut extremely well. So there's probably very rare times that you'll actually need to use the extra cut disc. But what you'll find with the extra cut disc is that they are super thin. They have literally no padding on them whatsoever. So when you've got it on the actual machine itself, all of the force of the energy is actually going directly onto the microfiber, which gives you that much heavier cut, because you haven't got that foam interface which can take out some of the energy from the actual machine itself, because you've got that layer which gives you a bit of forgiveness. Whereas on the extra cut discs you don't have that, they're super thin. And this one is the DMX5, and I think you can get the DMX3 and also the DMX6 as well. So there you have it. These are our recommendations for the compounding stage. If you've not tried them, give them a try. For the polishing stage, which is the mainstay of most machine polishing, i.e. this is the stage where you can get most vehicles done with this pad and get rid of most of the scratches and imperfections without having to do the compounding stage. And that pad is the yellow polishing pad from Rupes. This is the yellow fine polishing pad, as you can see from this pad itself. It has an open cell foam structure, which is great for all the lacquer which you remove when you're machine polishing. It actually goes inside the pad, doesn't stay on the surface, causing imperfections on your pad, and this is actually a fantastic pad for that mid-level polish. As I said, most stages, most polishes, we can actually use this pad and basically get most vehicles done just by using this without compounding, because it has such a wide working range. Again, it comes in various sizes. You can get this is a 6-inch, you can get the 3-inch and also a 5-inch, and you can also get the nano spot pads, the 1 and 2-inch ones, if you have sort of nano polishers as well. So again, all sizes are catered for, but for the mid polishing level, this is the pad we would recommend. What you'll also find with this pad, this is a 3-inch pad, but the actual backing section is about 2.5 inches. So it actually contours. You can see that it comes out in a cone shape. And the advantage of that is that when you've got it on your machine polisher, the backing plate, which will be level with the plate here, the Velcro on the back of the pad, because you've got that contour and you're actually machine polishing, there's less likelihood of that backing plate coming into contact with the edges of the vehicle, because where you're machine polishing, the pad sticks out, which reduces the danger of the backing plate coming into contact with anything. So that's another advantage and feature of these pads, which we absolutely love. So there you have it, polishing stage, yellow Rupes Fine polishing pad. For the third and final finishing pad, what we recommend is another product from Rupes. It is the Rupes UltraFine white finishing pad from their Bigfoot range. Again, very similar to the yellow polishing pad. This is open cell structure, super soft, open cell, which means that all of the debris goes inside, and this will give you an absolutely fantastic finish on that third stage. So if you're doing jeweling or applying a wax or sealant using some sort of pad, this is the one we would choose. Again, fantastic results. Comes in different sizes again, so you can get the 3-inch, the 2-inch, 1-inch and the 5-inch. This one here is the 6-inch. Again, contoured, so you reduce the risk of the backing plate coming into contact with anything on your vehicle, and will give you an absolutely fantastic result. So this is our recommendation, what we would use. This is our go-to finishing pad at V-Project UK, giving fantastic results. Choosing the right pad is only half the battle, because now you need to pair these pads up with the correct compound or polish or fine polish. Again, where do you start? There's so many to choose from, so many recommendations on YouTube. You wouldn't even know where to begin unless you start spending money buying different compounds and polishes and testing them out. Well, hopefully this will make it easy for you, because we've done all the testing and the hard work. We've used these products for years, and we've actually paired them up with the best compounds and polishes for us. Now, I just want to stress that when it comes to pads and compounds and polishes, it's all about the end user experience. So just because these pads and polishes and compounds work for us doesn't mean they might necessarily work for you, because we're all different. We've actually tested this out where we had the same machine polisher, the same pads, the same compounds, same polishes, with 2 different detailers, and both detailers, including myself, we all received different results, because it really depends on your technique. So you might have products which you prefer, which is great, keep using them, but at V-Project UK we found these products to be the best for us, and you should certainly give them a try, because they might work for you. So when it comes to the compounding stage, and you've got the Meguiars microfiber cutting disc, this pad was actually designed by Meguiars to be worked in conjunction with their detailer DA microfiber correction compound D300. A fantastic compound, giving you excellent results, has very little sling and very little dusting, and it has a long working cycle, so the lubrication in this compound allows you to work it for quite some time before it flashes or dries or need to be wiped off. However, what we found, as good a compound as this is, we love using the Menzerna heavy cut compound 400. This compound here, paired up with a microfiber cutting disc, gives you absolutely fantastic results. The main reason is this has such a broad working range. As you can see from the label, it has loads of cutting ability, but it has a really high finishing and glossing ability as well. So for a compound, that is really good, because it means that you can actually work this product with something like the microfiber pad, which would normally give you a lot of hazing, but because of the quality of the compound, it actually finishes down really well. So when you actually have to polish this out, once you get to the polishing stage, there's actually very little to do, which gives the polish a really good chance to give you a high quality finish, which normally negates the third stage or the final finishing stage, because this finishes down so well, which allows the polish to finish down so well. So this would be our recommendation for a compound. This is free of silicone and fillers, so it's completely body shop safe. So whatever result you get with this combination is a result that you will actually have achieved, i.e. there's no filling, so the scratches won't come back unless you put them there. So this is our recommendation for the compounding stage. So for the polishing stage, this stage is probably where 80 to 85% of vehicles can be done using just this stage. Most vehicles may not require compounding if you get the right pad and the right polish. We believe we found that combination. What we would pair the Rupes Yellow Fine polishing pad with is Perfect Finish from Sonax. These two products in particular are an absolute marriage made in heaven. As I've just said, you can probably get 85% of vehicles done using just this combination, because again, Sonax's Perfect Finish finishes down so well. However, it still has a fairly high cutting action. So as you can see, they've rated this 4 out of 6 for cut and a 6 out of 6 for gloss. And we can actually confirm that those are the results that you will actually get. You will see with this polish that it will get rid of loads of scratches and imperfections. However, it finishes down so well that it negates the third step or a final finishing stage, because the results you'll get, most people will be happy with. So for the polishing stage, this would be our recommendation. Again, very little to minimal dusting, doesn't have any fillers or silicone, so again, perfectly body shop safe, and the result you see is a result you get because of the correction that you would have achieved using this combination. Give it a try. If you are someone who has a real eye for the finish that you can achieve when machine polishing, and you do go for the third stage, as I've said already, if you follow our compounding pair and the polishing pair, i.e. the Meguiars microfiber cutting pad with the 400 fast cut from Menzerna, and the yellow Rupes polishing pad with the Perfect Finish from Sonax, it pretty much negates the need for a third and final step, because you would have achieved such good results, most people will be happy with it. However, if you want to get that final 1 to 5% of finishing, which some people do, and you do go for the third step using the white Rupes UltraFine pad, what we would pair this up with is yet another product from Menzerna, the Super Finish 3500. Very similar to the Fast Cut 400, this has a really broad working range, which means, as you can see, it will still give you some cut because it's rated 3 on the cut scale, but it will give you maximum gloss. Again, free of silicone and fillers, which means that the results you get, the results you see, are what you've actually achieved. There's no filling or anything like that. And you'll see that it has really good lubrication, which gives you a long working time with very minimal to no dusting at all. So that would be our recommendation for the final stage when you finish down the paintwork, if you choose to do so. Again, just a great combination, and give it a try. Some top tips when using these pads and machine polishing. If you've got a big panel, use one pad per panel and make sure you clean out the pad after every set. Because what will happen is that all of the lacquer, which you've now shaved off the surface of your vehicle, goes into the pad, and residue control is really important. Buff Daddy and Kev Brown talks about this on some of his videos, and it is crucial, and we agree that it's crucial, that you manage all of the debris which you've actually got in your pad itself, because all that spent paint that you're shaving off your vehicle goes into the pad. Unless you're regularly cleaning out your pad, that will just then cause scratches back into your paintwork, which defeats the point of machine polishing in the first place. So residue control is extremely important. So 1 pad per large panel. If you've got 2 smaller panels, you might get away with 1 pad on 2 smaller panels, making sure you clean the pad through every set. So for a typical vehicle, you probably need 5 or 6 or sometimes maybe even more pads to actually machine polish your vehicle, and that will go for every stage, whatever you're doing. So you need to make sure you've got enough pads for the job. So that's top tip number 1. Top tip number 2. To help you clean your pad after each set, what you should do is get an all-purpose cleaner, something similar to Multi-X from CarPro. Dilute this somewhere between 1 to 10 to 1 to 20 and actually spray this on your pad after every set, because that will actually help get rid of some of the spent compound and everything you might have in your pad. Also, get yourself a good brush, which means you can brush the pad after every set. And if you don't have access to compressed air, you can always buy some air in a can, which helps you clean out the pad and get the best results from the pad once you've actually done a set. So that will be top tip number 2. Tip number 3. When you're using a microfiber pad, it's really important that you prime this pad. So if you've not done machine polishing before, or you're new to this, what this means is that you need to actually add some product on here and make sure that the entire pad is covered with a small amount of product to prime the pad before you use it. This pad contains tens or hundreds of thousands of microfiber strands, and as you're machine polishing, each strand is dragged across the surface of your paint. If that strand doesn't have enough lubrication, that will actually cause unnecessary marring because it's dragging across the surface while it's dry, which just makes your life harder when it comes to the polishing stage, because you need to now remove more defects that you've caused from the microfiber pad. So you can actually avoid that by making sure it's properly primed and making sure that you do that after every set, because when you use the CarPro Multi-X to clean the pad after each set, a lot of that lubrication will be removed along with the lacquer debris which you are there trying to remove. So just making sure you prime it slightly before each set will give you fantastic results. So that's top tip number 3. Here's the next top tip. Watching YouTube videos, and I know this is a bit counterproductive because I'm producing a YouTube video for you to watch, it's really easy to get sucked into the, oh, look at this product and look at that product and how wonderful is this product. And I've been guilty of that as well. I'll watch some YouTube videos and basically go and spend money on these products and test, and that enables me to produce videos for you guys. However, kudos to all these people because they're producing videos which are very informative and they can be useful. But the trick is to make sure that you have the right products for the right job. Basically, what you want to do is have very few products, but the products that will give you the results you want. Get to know the products. For example, I know using these 3 pads with these 3 compounds and polishes, I can do 99% of any work I need to do and get professional results. Because the trick is to buy the right products to get the best results with minimal effort. Get to know those products, know their capabilities and limitations, and I've done that with these. So as I've said, I know that I can get pretty much anything done using just these products here. The problem with having too many products is you have too many variations, too many variables, and it almost becomes impossible. Whereas using these, I know what combinations work for what results. As I've mentioned already, that for most of the time, 80% or more, I know that I can just use the yellow fine Rupes polishing pad with the Sonax perfect finish compound polish, 1-step polish to get most vehicles done, giving me professional results. So that gives me the best results with minimal effort because I've used the right product for the job. So that would be the next tip. Get to know your products, get to know how they work, and stick to those. Obviously now and again a product will turn up which you think, wow, this might actually prove to be something which I can use in my detailing arsenal. By all means give it a try, but try and minimize the amount of products you have because there'll just be too many variables. So that will be the next top tip. So now we've gone through our recommendations, what I'm going to do is do a demonstration of these on our test panel, going through each step as we go and explaining how they work and looking at the results that we get. I'm also going to be measuring the paint thickness as we go to see how much clear coat is removed using each step. and hopefully this will be useful to some of you, if hopefully not most of you. So let's have a go now. Okay team, here we go. So I've got this panel and I've marked it out. So what I'm going to do is use the heavy cut Menzerna heavy cut 400 here, finish that off with a Sonax perfect finish, and then completely finish that off with a third step of the Menzerna super finish 3500. And I've also marked off a fourth section here. What I'm going to do is just do literally the Sonax perfect finish with the yellow Rupes polishing pad to see what difference that makes with just a one step polish compared to the 3 stages we're going to do here, and we'll compare the difference. What I'm also going to do is I've marked out some lines where I'm going to measure the actual thickness of the paint using a paint thickness measuring gauge, which I've shown you on a previous video before, to see how much clear coat we're removing at each stage, if any at all. So it'll give us a good sort of rough guide as we're going along. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm just going to use a 3000 grit sandpaper just to scuff up the whole panel, so we've got even marring and contamination and scratches across the whole section, and then we'll go through. So I'm just going to set the machine polisher up and we'll go through the actual sandpapering of that section. So before I sand it, I'm going to take some measurements using the paint depth gauge to see how much we're going to remove at the actual sanding stage, if any at all. So what I've done is I've marked off the panel and marked off some lines, and I'm going to try and take the measurement at exactly the same spot every time at 15 centimeters, so that we can get hopefully an accurate measure, as accurate as possible, of how much clear coat is removed at any, if at all stages. So let's just start at this section here, and we'll see how much what it measures at 15 centimeters. That is measuring 108 microns at that point. At this point, let's have a look. That's measured 123. Again at 15 centimeters. That's measured 126. And at the last step, see what we measure. Again at 15 centimeters, as accurate as I can be. That's measured 125. So it's fairly consistent on this side of the panel. However, look at the difference, 108, which goes to show the importance of measuring the paint before you start machine polishing, because as you can see, the clear coat is much thinner here. However, if you didn't measure, you wouldn't have known. And we've actually released a video about this, so if you've not checked it out, check it out, because that will explain why this is so important. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to set the machine polisher up and we'll sand this section. Okay, so I'm using a Rupes X-Cut disc 3000 grit sandpaper, and as we've been doing throughout this series, I've got the DAS 6 Pro Plus machine polisher as well. So we'll just set this up. Now this is basically damp sanding, so you don't need too much water, just enough. So let's go. So you can see all this milky residue. That's actually the lacquer that's been taken off by the sandpaper, and you can see just how much lacquer is on the pad itself as well. This panel, by the way, is actually very soft, so it's going to be interesting to see how we can finish this down using the steps, because normally soft finishes like this are actually very difficult to finish down sometimes and get completely haze free and scratch free, so it'll be quite a good test. So I'll just clean this up, mark it off, and then we'll start with the compound, polish and super polish, and then we'll do the Sonax perfect finish as mentioned. So I'll just tape it up quickly. In between shots, all I've done is I wiped that section which I've just sandpapered with some water, and you can now see the hazing that's been caused by the sandpaper, which is normal. So you can see how dull it is at the moment, but that is now equal across all 4 sections. So now we can get a good idea of what each compound and polish does. What I'll do quickly now that we've just machined it, I'm going to take some measurements again to see how much clear coat the 3000 grit sandpaper removed, if any at all. So let's have a quick look at that now, because it will be quite interesting. So starting off with the same section again, I'm going to sort of measure at 15 centimeters, so try and be as accurate as possible about getting a measurement from the same spot. So let's have a look. Okay, that one has come out at 107 this time, so it's taken off 1 micron. So let's just write that down. Next step. This originally measured 123 in this section, so let's have a look. That's now 121 microns. So that's taken off 2 microns in that section. As I said, this panel, the lacquer is very soft, so it doesn't surprise me that it's taken off quite a bit of lacquer. So let's do 15 centimeters again. That's now 123. And the final measurement, let's see how much is taken off here. Again at 15 centimeters. That's now 124. So it's taken off between sort of 1 and 2 microns at each stage. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, using the Microfibre, Meguiars microfiber pad, we're just going to machine polish the first section, compound it to see what difference it makes. So what I'm going to do, just to keep this video as concise as possible, I'm not going to keep bringing the camera in at every stage. I'm going to do the actual polishing itself, and then at the end I'll bring the camera in so you can hopefully see the difference between all 4 stages. So as I say, I've now got my microfiber pad mounted onto the actual polisher itself, and we're going to get the Menzerna Heavy Cut 400 compound. And initially I'm going to just prime the actual pad itself. So when it comes to priming, you don't actually need to use that much product. You just need to use enough that you've got some product covering most of the pad itself, because otherwise you might overload the pad at this stage, which you don't want to do. So you just want to sort of make sure you've got even coverage of the product. And again, this pad itself doesn't actually need too much product, so I normally just put a few small drops like that, and that is usually enough. So what we're going to do, we'll do this section here, and I'm not sure how it comes out on the camera, but it's actually quite a small section, so it might seem like I'm doing it quickly, but I'm actually following the 1 inch per second rule. So let's see how we get on. So on level 1, I'm just going to spread the product first. And then on level 3.5, do some polishing. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe off the residue now, and hopefully you'll be able to see where the camera is at the moment, just what difference just the Menzerna 400 has done just by itself. As I've said, this polish is so good because it has such a broad working range that you can see it's actually finished down quite nicely already compared to just the section next to it. So you can see the difference that it's actually made. Absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to do, just using some IPA solution at 25%, just quickly wipe off any oils that might be left behind. And I've got to be careful with this panel because the lacquer is so soft that just wiping it with a microfiber actually can scratch it as well. So hopefully you can see from the camera just how much difference has been made by the Menzerna 400. So there's still some slightly deeper scratches there and some hazing, which is normal for a microfiber pad because that will now need finishing itself. You can see the difference. So what I'm going to do now, just to keep this video concise, I'm going to change the pad on the machine itself, and we'll come in on the same section with the Sonax Perfect Finish. Before I do that, let's just take another quick measurement to see how much clear coat was removed by the Fast Cut 400, if any at all. Again, at 15 centimeters, being as accurate as I can be. That's now at 104 microns. Again, I'm not surprised because this is a really soft lacquer, so I'm not surprised that it's taken off that much. So yeah, I'll just set the machine up for the next stage and I'll be back in a sec. So what we're going to do now is the Rupes yellow polishing pad. I'll just mount this on the actual machine polisher itself. So for this inch, you need a 5-inch backing plate because it's actually 5-inch backing with a 6-inch pad. And what I normally do is just using some distilled water, just a quick spray, because that helps to actually prime a foam pad. And again, using the Sonax Perfect Finish. Again, you don't need much. This product, a little goes a really long way. So all I'm going to do is literally, because I'm using quite a small section, just 2 small dots like that, which is more than enough. And as I was just doing this video, I was just thinking, I'm not sure why I marked this off. What I'm going to do is now use a Sonax Perfect Finish over the 400 and this section, so you can see what the second stage of polishing makes on an area which is compounded now already, and an area which is not compounded, so you can see just how good Perfect Finish is on a sort of compounded, heavy scratched area. See just what difference this makes by itself. So I'm going to go over these 2 sections now, so you can see the compounding with a polish, just the polish, and we'll see what the results are and also how much microns this now removes as well. So let's give it a go. So again, on speed 1, I'm just going to spread the product and then go to speed 3.5 and polish this out. Again, the sections are quite small. I'm not sure how it looks on the video, but I will be going at the right speed of about 1 inch per second, crosshatch pattern, 3 passes, and then we'll see what the results are. So let's start. That got a bit annoying because the tape kept coming off, so sorry about that, viewers. But also a couple of sections, the actual machine started bogging down, so that's why I went over a couple of times. I hope you noticed that. So anyway, let's wipe this off and see what results we've got, and we'll see what difference these have actually made. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to spray a bit of IPA again, just get rid of any oils or anything that might be left behind by the polishes, so we can see some true results. Again, as I've said, I've got to be careful how much I wipe this with the microfiber because it's so soft that the actual microfiber itself can actually cause scratches as well. So just by using 3 passes, you can see how well that section, ignore the edges because masking tape makes it hard to, but you can see in the middle just how well that was refined. You can also see how well the perfect finish has done on its own. Now this is a soft panel, which means that the polish and the pad will actually cause scratches by itself. If you had a medium to hard paint, the Sonax perfect finish by itself normally finishes down really well. Because this is soft, it's leaving behind a bit more marring. You can see how well that's finished down on that section. So let's take some more measurements. Let's see how much has been removed, if any at all. Again, I'll try and be as accurate as possible by going in at 15 centimeters, and we'll see how much clear coat has been removed by the Sonax perfect finish. So let's have a look. Accurate as possible to 15 centimeters. That's now at 103, so that's taken off 1 micron. Let's take a look on the next section. Again at 15 centimeters, accurate as I can be. Now at 120, so again 1 micron. So once again, I'll set the machine up for the Menzerna Super Finish 3500. We'll now go on this panel to finish it off, and we'll also go just here to see what difference the polish makes on its own as a finishing polish. So back in a sec. So third and final section using the Rupes UltraFine white polishing pad. Just mount this onto the actual polisher itself. Again, tiny amount of water just to actually prime the pad. And this time it's the Super Finish 3500. Again, you don't need much, just a small amount will do. A couple of small dots, and I'm just going to use 2 because I'm going over quite a small section. That's all we need. And this time I'm going to finish off that first section, which has been compounded and polished, and we're going to go straight to this section here to see how the polish performs on its own as a polish. You will see the difference. And I'm just going to talk about a few things at the end, so just bear with me, but let's get this done first and take some measurements. So again, number 1, just going to spread the polish itself. And on to 3.5 for the actual polishing stage. let's see what results we've got. Once again, I'll just quickly wipe off the residue and we'll see what results we've achieved just by using the 3500 on this section. Again, as you can see with these polishes, the wipe off is really easy, and that is something really important when you're working on soft panels like this, because if it doesn't wipe off easy, you're going to be wiping it loads and actually putting scratches back into it, so wipe off is quite important. So let's just wipe it off this section as well. As you can see, wipes off very easily. And just to make sure we've got rid of any polishing oils, I'll just use some IPA again, just to make sure we've got all the oils removed so we can see what results we've actually got. So before we talk about anything else, let's take some measurements again. Start off on this side. So we were now down to 103 at 15 centimeters. So let's see what difference this has made, if any at all. Okay. That is now at 102. So again, it's taken off 1 micron at that stage. And then we'll take a measurement on this section. Let's see what we've got. 15 centimeters. Trying to be as accurate as possible at 15. I think I'm slightly off because it's taking a higher reading, so let me just try and get that exact spot. It's actually showing about 124 now, which is a bit weird. So it's maybe because I'm not exact on the same spot, but you get the idea. So let's bring the light in and you can see the difference now. So this section here, you can see doing all 3 stages how nicely it's finished down, and I'll bring the camera in a second. So compound, polish and finish will give you that result. Sonax perfect finish on this section didn't do a great job on this soft lacquer, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. And you can see that the super finish really is just a finishing polish, so there's still quite a lot of hazing and marring and holograms left behind, as I was going to expect anyway, to be honest. So you can see the difference between that, and I'll say I'll bring the camera in just so you can have a look. Now I chose this panel on purpose because it's soft lacquer, because I wanted to have a difficult lacquer to finish out, because that will give you more of an indication of what these polishes are capable of, and when you go through each of the stages, just what difference you'll get. So yeah, let me bring the camera in now and we'll take a look a bit closer. So let's remove this masking tape so I'll give you an idea of what the finish sections are like with the masking tape removed. And I'll just give it a very quick wipe down again. Okay, so now you can see the sanding marks, and I'm going to use the Rupes L150 swirl finder this time, just to give you a different light source. You can see the difference from when we machine polished it using the sandpaper 3000 grit. That's where we were, and that's what we've now achieved using the 3-stage polish. So we compounded, we used the Meguiars microfibre cutting pad 6-inch with the Menzerna Fast Cut 400 compound, which we then finished off with the the Sonax Perfect Finish as a polishing stage, followed by the Menzerna Super Finish 3500. So as a 3-stage polish on really soft lacquer, that's the results you got. There's still a bit of scratching there, but I think that's mainly from the microfibre, because this lacquer is so soft. I think that was the microfibre causing that more than the polishing stage itself. But you can see the difference. It's huge. But you can also see the difference that just Sonax Perfect Finish made by itself. I mean, you can see the difference from, there's the 3000 grit mark, and how much it actually finished it down, because it has such a broad working range. Yes, there's more imperfections, but I think that is more a case of the actual panel itself than the actual performance of the product, because as I've said, for most vehicles, if it's medium or hard lacquer, the Sonax Perfect Finish by itself is all you would need to most of the time get that result there. You don't need to go through the 3 stages. And here we removed 6 microns altogether, from 108 to 102. 108 to 102. Whereas here, just by using that stage, we went from 123 to 120, just 3 microns. So you can see the difference in that you're going to remove a lot less lacquer. It's the least aggressive method to get very good results. So I'm hoping this comes off on the camera and you can actually see the difference that this has made. And also you can see the 3000 grit marks there. Just Super Finish by itself did, for a finishing polish, quite a good result with the Rupes white pad. So you can see the difference that made. And as I said at the beginning of the video, it's actually the pad which does 75% of the work. The actual polish or compounds just complement the pad. So here is testament to the compounds and polishes and pads we use. And what I'll probably do at some stage is do a video to show the Sonax Perfect Finish on medium and hard lacquer to show just how good it is by itself. But hopefully this video will give you a good indication of what can be achieved with these pads and these polish combinations. We hope you found that video useful. We also hope you found the results useful as well. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you press the bell icon to get alerts for future videos, make sure you check us out on Instagram, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.